A lot of wars in the news right now, but the battlefield no one wants to talk about is actually inside your body, where food has become a weapon of mass destruction. From supermarket shelves to fast food chains, the food industry is waging a silent war against the American people, using addictive and toxic ingredients to increase profits at the cost of public health. Now, yes, you need food to survive, but the wrong foods can also kill. Sugars, fats, chemicals, the arsenal of destruction hidden in every bite is fueling an epidemic of sickness, obesity, depression, infertility, and financial ruin. Rates of chronic diseases soar as the nation's health crumbles. Now, that food pyramid we all learned about in grade school, yeah, well, that's imploding. This is a war we must win. The stakes could not be higher. Take a look at McAllen, Texas, which is a microcosm of much of the United States. It has been named the #1 most overweight city in America for the 7th year in a row.
Food addiction is killing people. Here in McAllen, we are at ground zero of this epidemic. Our food is delicious here. It's not very healthy how we cook that food, and that goes towards our Mexican culture. That would be #1. I think #2, we really don't have a lot of sidewalks or the option to walk. Another thing, people want the best bang for their buck. They want the biggest portions at the cheapest price. So this is a great example of a Mexican panaderia where you have delicious options. A lot of these bakeries accept food stamps, which is kind of crazy. Government subsidized poison.
This food is really addictive. You don't even think about the calories, the nutrition value. It's just so good. You just want to keep eating. And it gets to the point where, like, you feel full, but I just want to keep eating.
I've lost too many family members because of all the illnesses that being addicted to food, obesity can bring. I was severely overweight, about 260. I went to the doctor and they gave me the diagnosis of being pre-diabetic. I didn't listen. It took seeing my brother and my sister pass away for it to finally click with me. It was changing for this beautiful baby girl right here. You know, I need to be around to see her graduate.
We like to boast that everything is bigger in Texas, but this is not something to be proud of. This is not just a battle for our bodies, it's also a battle for our brains. Now, Callie Means is a definite fighter on the front lines of this war, bursting on to the health scene as a food industry whistleblower, involving the ugly truth that the enemy does not want you to know.
We have an addiction crisis in America when it comes to food, and that's very profitable. I was a consultant for Big Food. There was a very clear objective. They want to make cheap, addictive food. Almost every single chronic condition that is shortening and torturing American life is tied to food. This is obviously a disaster for American health, but for the food companies, it's very profitable. Ultra-processed food is now 70% of our diet, and the food is literally weaponized with sugar, seed oils, highly processed grains. It's happening in the food industry. It's not a free market, it's a rigged market. Working for the food industry, I helped pay off regulators, pay off the media itself to run stories about how ultra-processed food is healthy, paid off lawmakers, paid off researchers. Coca-Cola pays the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Diabetes Association, the American Cancer Society. We did that in spades, millions of dollars to groups that would do that for us. So we just went down the list of institutions Americans trust and tried to get them money. That was my job. Humans are born with an innate sense of what's good for us, and that is being taken away by the food industry.
Callie Means is co-founder of TrueMed and co-author of Good Energy, which unpacks the incentives of our broken food system and provides a path forward. Kelly, thank you for being here and talking about this.
Thank you.
You've been on the dark side. You say it's the devil's bargain. What do you mean?
There's a 3-step playbook. Working for the food companies, they hired all the scientists in the 1980s from the tobacco companies. The tobacco companies, as smoking went down, actually started buying Nabisco and Kraft and shifting their scientists over. The key thing that the food companies know is that ultra-processed food, which is now up to 70% of our diet, is a science experiment. They're hijacking our evolutionary biology, and they're making the food addictive. And working for the food companies, the first part of the devil bargain is making that food normalized. So we paid the USDA advisors. 95% of the folks that make our nutrition guidelines are directly paid for by food companies. That means the USDA recommends added sugar for 2-year-olds. They say up to 10% of a 2-year-old's diet should be added sugar. We pay the lawmakers themselves. We pay the regulatory agencies. Literally, the American Diabetes Association sets the standard of care for diabetes, accepts money from Coca-Cola. So we normalize this addiction crisis. When you do a brain scan of a person eating ultra-processed food, it fits all the criteria for addiction, and we've gotten people addicted.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're saying that the major beverage companies, food companies, all of them, are bribing the scientists, bribing the regulatory agencies to endorse their formulas, their ingredients for food, to say that they're good, say that they're okay. And in fact, those ingredients are meant to addict people to the foods that they're selling.
It's the express purpose. I was shocked as a junior employee to see a list of names of professors from Harvard, from Tufts Nutrition School, from Stanford. And as a junior employee working for the food companies as a consultant, I steered money to those schools. The food industry funds nutrition research in this country 11 times more than the NIH. We were loath to find a nutrition researcher who's not directly paid with a direct consulting agreements bribes, and their research is predominantly funded by the food industry. I can tell you from working for this industry that that's not out of a philanthropic goodwill for unbiased research. The food industry is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on nutrition research to enhance their bottom line. It's to normalize these addictive foods.
Okay, so you say added sugar for 2-year-olds. So these cereals that they might eat that have all the cartoons on the front of them and that sort of thing, you're talking about the same mantra for a drug dealer.
The biggest drug addiction crisis and drug issue in the country by far is the ultra-processed food industry. And you're hitting on the second aspect of this devil's bargain. Food and ultra-processed food is causing absolute devastation in America. 9 of the 10 leading causes of death are foodborne illnesses. If you take down ultra-processed food, you are eliminating diabetes, you're eliminating heart disease, you're putting a stab to the heart of cancer. Many forms of cancer are metabolic related. Even Alzheimer's is now called type 3 diabetes. It's so closely related to our diet. Dr. Phil, the reason I'm speaking out is because a lot of us are parents, and I have a small child, and children are running into an absolute buzzsaw. We're so metabolically dysfunctional as adults that children are now developing prediabetes and metabolic dysfunction in utero. And kids now, 50% of teens are overweight or obese, 25% of teens have fatty liver disease. That's tied to the mental health epidemic where 40% of high school seniors have a mental health disorder. We're poisoning our kids, and it's the biggest issue in the country.
Okay, so you're talking about sugar, obviously. That's the white devil, right? All right, what else are you talking about?
I call it the unholy trinity of ingredients in ultra-processed food. You've got added sugar, you've got seed oils, you've got highly processed grains. All 3 ingredients are essentially invented just 100 years ago and were not evolutionarily made to handle.
At one time, they were proposing a tax on sugar, and you're saying they bribed organizations to fight against that and get it defeated.
Yeah, this is the third step. So we're getting really sick because of ultra-processed food, and then the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry, which profits from being sick, absolutely rigs the debate to make this normalized and obfuscate the problem and frankly blame the American people instead of the system itself. So we at Coke paid the NAACP, prominent civil rights groups, to say it was racist to take away food stamp funding from Coca-Cola. Today, the top item purchased on food stamps is sugary beverages.
So you're saying Coca-Cola went and paid the NAACP to call anybody racist that was resisting the sugar tax?
This was reported in the New York Times and throughout the media. The NAACP, after accepting millions of dollars from Coke when I was working for them in 2010, 2011, called anyone who questioned the idea of taking food stamp funding away from Coke racist, saying that lower income kids, really enjoyed their soda and it was a personal choice issue.
Okay. Coming up, a fitness coach who believes his favorite soda is keeping him healthy. We'll talk to him next, and curious to hear what you have to say about that. Hey, Dr. Phil here. Your savings are at risk. With the economy on shaky ground, the dollar losing value, and a $2 trillion deficit, things could spiral. Don't wait for the worst. Take control of your financial future now. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. What are you going to do to protect what's yours? Claim your special offer and learn how to reinforce your financial future. Visit drphilgold.com to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Visit drphilgold.com today.
This is a Mexican Coca-Cola. The last warning label down here says evitar en niños, which means avoid in children. So they're telling you avoid this drink in children. Looking at this and just mentally, I'm like, I want to drink this so badly. It is an addiction, and people need to take that seriously, up there with the drug addiction, with alcohol addiction. You know, you wouldn't put an alcoholic beverage in front of somebody who struggled with alcoholism or anything like that.
My next guest, Matt, says he gave up regular soda for diet soda and believes it has great health benefits.
I've been training in the gym for a very long time, and Diet Coke is a huge part of my life. I consume, give or take, a gallon of Diet Coke a day. When I wake up, most people go for their morning coffee, but I literally run to my local self-serve fountain and just run for a diet soda. So when I was younger, I became very overweight because I drank regular Coke so much. It became addicting. I made the switch to Diet Coke and eventually started improving my other habits, and the synergy of those two things dramatically improved my health. The reality is there is virtually zero evidence that diet soda of any kind can cause harm to you, and the benefits on its usefulness outweigh by far any of the risks. Some of the benefits of Diet Coke and diet soda in general are just increased feelings of satiety. And the reality is the benefit in the feeling of fullness you get between meals and with meals by doing that dramatically outweighs the tiny little bit of artificial sweetener you might be consuming. Diet Coke is such a useful tool because it allows you to limit your cravings. The amount of times I've sat there and said, you know what, I'll have something sugary after I drink this Diet Coke. And I find that once I drink it, the urge to go gorge on candy or cookies or cake is completely gone. I will probably drink Diet Coke for the rest of my life.
Okay, how much are you drinking a day?
I really do drink a gallon a day of diet soda.
Really?
Yes. They know me as the Diet Coke guy in restaurants I go to, local restaurants, and they bring me two before I even sit down.
And you think this is good for you?
Actually, yes. I was formerly overweight. I was 5'5", 170 pounds when I was younger, and I was around 14, 15. And as I got older, I managed to lose around 35 pounds from improving my lifestyle habits. And one of the main ways I've done that is through limiting my cravings, my overeating. So I'm using diet soda as a tool to help me limit my alcohol consumption. Hardly ever go for cookies, candy, sweets, things like that. So it has completely altered my eating habits. And there is a lot of research. They have a study here where 18.65% more people in a group that substituted diet soda for water lost at least 5% of their body weight. So they were trying to make people lose weight, and they found that more people actually lost weight in the diet soda group than in the water group.
So you think it's healthy?
Ultimately, yes. In combination with water, yes.
Your ear just fell off. No, I'm just kidding. You don't think it has any side effects?
No, and there are some people who don't tolerate caffeine well. So if you don't tolerate caffeine well, by all means, don't drink it.
Yeah. So what do you think about him drinking a gallon of diet soda?
There's two high-level points, I think, that are really important about this for, I think, the audience to understand. Number one is I looked at that study, and on the study, it's funded by Coca-Cola, and I just cannot express this. I cannot express this enough. Nutrition research is propaganda and public relations for processed food. There is not a lobbying firm for broccoli. There's not a lobbying firm for water. Okay, the reason there's been 50,000 nutrition studies, which I helped rig, in the past 2 years produced, is because they're documents to sell us poison. There's two other quick points I want to make. There's a ton of studies, nonpartisan, non-conflicted studies that say that sweetness, that aspartame in Diet Coke, it's not risk-free. It hijacks our insulin levels. It hijacks our glucose levels. That actually makes us, many studies show, more insulin resistant. What does that mean? That's our body's ability to produce energy. Actually, study after study show that people that drink diet soda actually want to eat more and do gain weight. So I think there's nothing risk-free, and we've been sold a bill of lies that these artificial sweeteners are not, without their problems.
Yeah, because we were looking at these studies that you gave us.
Yes.
And there's a long list of people that fund and support those studies. General Mills, Kellogg, PepsiCo, Quaker Oats, International Sweeteners Association, Nestle, General Mills. They are funded, as you say, by the people that are selling you what they're testing.
Well, as I've said, I'm not here to say there are no flaws in this industry.
Okay, but hang on a second. If you were buying a used car
Yes.
and you wanted to have it checked out, would you have it checked out by the mechanic that had it for sale?
Definitely not. But something to keep in mind is that, this isn't just one study. They have 17 randomized controlled trials.
I've got them all here, and
so
they're all funded by the same people, the same mechanic.
They are published on the NIH. Like I said, that doesn't mean they're inherently without flaw. I believe it's possible in the future you could come out with research that shows that maybe there is a problem with something, but that could happen with any food item that's common to you. Ultimately, reducing obesity, reducing your calorie intake is so important. And that's what diet soda has allowed me to do personally and allows some other people to do as well.
I think that's great for you personally. The core criminal situation happening is that the pharma and health industry is not standing up against our consumption of these frankenfoods. It's because every single institution of healthcare makes money.
You call them what foods?
Ultra-processed food, frankenfoods.
What are frankenfoods?
Frankenfoods are like Frankenstein's lab. You're just putting a bunch of ingredients together. There's a reason there's all those ingredients on the label that you don't understand. These are thousands of chemicals, even in Diet Coke, that the food industry's lobbied for, many of which are banned in every other country. The criminal aspect here, Dr. Phil, is that the healthcare industry should be speaking out, but they're also taking money from the food industry and complicit in this because they make money when we get sick.
Okay, well, coming up, a woman who says when she starts eating fast food, she can't stop. And we're going to hear what she has to say about it next. Homeowners, when's the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles and your equity is the target. Criminals forge your signature, and just like that, your home title can be transferred out of your name. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Phil at HometitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you'll get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title. Urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Phil.
The aspartame industry executed the playbook perfectly. The playbook is 3 parts. Number 1, buy off the research. For decades, the industry funded elite academic institutions to say the substance was healthy. Then pay off the influencers. When you see an influencer on TikTok saying that Diet Coke is healthy, or a nutritionist going to the halls of Congress briefing them saying it's healthy, they are most likely paid for by the industry. And then the industry paid the regulatory agencies themselves. Many experts on the USDA nutrition panel have actually been paid for by the aspartame industry.
Well, tonight we're talking about addictive ingredients in food. Now, Kelsey says she's binge eating as a coping mechanism.
I've been struggling with food for 7 years now. The type of food that I normally binge on is more processed and like fast food and takeout. I'm very addicted to donuts. I try really hard to control it. Food delivery apps can be such a struggle because it's so easy to just press add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. McDonald's is one of my go-tos. So I get a Big Mac meal, large, so a large fry, large Sprite, Big Mac, 10-piece chicken nugget, McChicken, a McFlurry, some cookies.
Last night was kind of a rough night. I made myself so sick from eating that I threw up.
The main component of binge eating is feeling out of control, you can't stop yourself, normally doing it in secret. There's a lot of shame around it. You feel like so full after Thanksgiving dinner. Like that's basically how after a binge is, sometimes worse. It just makes me feel really bad, and I want to stop. And sometimes I do feel like, am I going to always, struggle with this?
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think about the fact that Kelly is saying that these foods that you have trouble putting down, staying away from, that you're binging on, are in fact scientifically designed to create just that effect on you?
Yeah, I think it's been really eye-opening just hearing all of this. And it makes me feel like, I guess, not relieved in a way, but just like, I know that it's my fault because I choose to put the foods in my mouth, but at the same time, it makes me feel like more understood.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
let me say something to you that I think is going to be important going forward.
Yeah.
You just said, it's my fault. And I think words are very powerful. And so I just have to stop you to talk about this in the middle of this whole thing.
Yeah.
There's a difference between fault and responsibility. Fault implies intent, that you did something on purpose. It's like if I go over and take a hammer and hit that camera and it breaks, then that's my fault. If I'm walking past it and bump it, but it was not my intent to do so and it breaks, then am I responsible for its being broken? Yes, but I'm not at fault because it wasn't my intent. So you say, yes, I'm putting the food in my mouth and all, but is it your intent to make yourself unhealthy? Is it intent to make yourself obese? Is it intent to put yourself in a compromised position? And I would argue that that's not your intent.
No.
And if in fact, this entire food complex, this entire beverage complex has been exploiting you by putting ingredients in there that makes your brain signal you that you need to keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this to get a high, to get satisfaction, to get satiety, then you've been victimized in part by that.
Yeah.
Fair statement?
100% fair. I just want to thank you for having the courage to speak out. There is a systemic poisoning happening, and we have to realize that.
Well, how did you justify it to yourself when you were out bribing agencies and scientists?
Great question. Nobody behind closed doors is saying that they're evil or saying stuff like that. It's about protecting lower income folks' ability to get their calories, their cheap calories. For the pharmaceutical industry, which is not stopping this epidemic of foodborne illnesses, but profiting from it. It's, we need to get people access to drugs. You can always justify things. And that is absolutely what's happening in DC and in these companies.
Well, you had to know. I mean, if you're taking money to the NAACP to call people racist for talking about a tax, or you're carrying money to scientists somewhere for a food company, they didn't ask you to do that on the town square.
It is impossible to explain to you how normalized things are. I think we all work for large companies. Many of us work for the pharmaceutical industry. Many friends from Harvard Business School go into the pharmaceutical industry, work for Coke, work for Pepsi. These companies are doing evil, and there is an amazing invisible hand that's convincing a lot of good people to do bad things. And I will say, being in those rooms with the NAACP, we were talking about protecting choice for lower income kids. I did not even fully realize how evil what we were doing was.
So you drank the addictive Kool-Aid?
100%. And that's, I think, what's happening systemically. Healthcare is the largest and fastest growing industry in the country. And the moment you are empowered, the moment a child learns metabolically healthy habits and doesn't go on Ozempic, doesn't go on statins, doesn't go on SSRIs, doesn't go on metformin, which is being prescribed like candy in high schools right now, the moment that happens and they wake up, that's not a profitable patient. And there is trillions of dollars of incentives right now to prevent us from waking up.
Well, I'm all about waking up.